Alright, I am back with another Destiny video as I sit here and wait to get snowed into my house for the next 3 days. Not that I leave my house anyway, really, so this probably won't affect me all that much unless I lose power and internet. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen, and I hope you guys can stay safe wherever you are. Even like Texas is like going to get snowstorms and it's below freezing. That's crazy. Anyway, I am here today to talk about Destiny in a little bit of a turn into positivity. As we know, the general community sentiment at the end of Season of the Hunt, heading into Season of the Chosen, was pretty negative in a lot of ways. Everyone was mad about all sorts of things, content vaulting, sunsetting, PvP, loot, like a whole lot of things. So we have kind of seen a bit of a turnaround so far in these early days of Season of the Chosen here, and for my opinion, it is not necessarily just like, oh, it's the early days of the season and, you know, it's the honeymoon phase and everyone is going to hate it soon. That is not the impression I'm getting here, and I don't think that's been true of a lot of other seasons. Like, Season of the Hunt, like, you could tell Wrathborn hunts were bad from the get-go. Season of Arrivals, well, it may have been okay overall, it wasn't exactly... it was a public event season, and the loot pool was really nothing to write home about. Season of the Worthy was public event based, and the only interesting thing there was all the loot with Warmind cells, which no one even really figured out how to use for like a month after the season launched. But this season feels a little different to me. I could take or leave the story stuff right now. I don't think we have enough to go on. Get one cutscene essentially, and then just some voice lines. I'm impressed with how many voice actors they've gotten to come in and record for this. Usually it's like one character a season or two, and now it's like five at least, 5 or 6. So that's good, and I'm curious to see where the story goes. Battlegrounds, I'm kind of neutral on. It's better than another public event. They're pretty straightforward. They can feel a little repetitive, but it's just non-stop frenetic combat, which at its base is pretty fun. And they're not the most rewarding right now, and farming them is going to have to be upgraded through the table over time, so that might change. But it's not like Battlegrounds have arrived and it's like, okay, this is the reason Destiny's good, because Battlegrounds are just that amazing. I don't think it's either, the story or Battlegrounds. It is fundamentally the loot, and it is the ways to chase all the different pieces of loot. This, to me, is why Season of the Chosen is working, and well, I've already talked about like my favorite guns and this and that. The longer I play, and I'm playing a lot. I'm playing just playlists just to play them for I'm not trying to get powerful drops. I'm not, doing anything. The amount of stuff they've added, the way they've added it, and then the quality of the loot itself is really cool. We can kind of go through all the different things here. We have the kind of traditional seasonal weapon grind. So that would be Battlegrounds. And we're only kind of we know the Battlegrounds weapons at this point. We have access to all of them pretty much from moment one, even the ones that are in the season pass, which I found a little strange because usually you have to get to that point to unlock them. And those are, fun weapons. Everyone really loves the SMG. The new rocket launcher with those perks are really cool. Just the new perk Frenzy can drop on pretty much all these weapons here. And the way to farm that, the whole Battleground system with Umbrals, the return of Umbrals is obviously a really good idea. And I am enjoying kind of the longer term grinds of you need 2,400 SMG kills, bow kills, and I think 1,200 linear fusion / rocket kills to unlock the final stage of Umbral focusing, which will start dropping weapons or focusing weapons that have 2 perks in the final slot. We haven't seen that since, I think, Season of Dawn, where they did that. Might be mistaken, but it's been a while since we've had 2 perk final weapons, so that has been a grind I've invested in. I'm making sure to always pretty much be using an SMG or bow, unless I'm running a champion activity or I have to do something else. And I've already gotten through the SMG and sidearm kills and the bow kills. I am now working on rockets and linear fusions, and that is going to take a little longer. I discovered you can use Arbalest for linear fusions, so that's going a little more quickly now. But those are a lot of good weapons. I'm still looking for my, what's the perk? Surplus Frenzy roll on the SMG. Haven't gotten a good sniper yet. I would love the new, both new rocket perks on the rocket, which are the high velocity one, and then Lasting Impression. I remember the name of it. I never remember the name of it. And I only did because someone left a comment saying that it was ironic that I cannot remember the name of the perk called Lasting Impression. So thank you, person, for finally making me remember that. And then that's like, that in the past, like the seasonal weapons would be like, those are the weapons you're chasing. Like, so in Season of the Hunt, those were the weapons, essentially, outside of, Beyond Light content. But like, it's a lot past that now too, because of all the different stuff they've added. We have the Nightfall Grind, which is now dropping 3 different weapons. They're going to rotate each week. We have Shadow Price, which can drop with some new perks, and it's a reprised weapon that everyone loved from Destiny 1. But it's also, I've been grinding the Nightfall because you can get the Sleeper Simulant Catalyst, which I haven't gotten yet. So that's a grind that I've been working on, and I'm getting occasional Shadow Prices in the meantime. It's not my favorite gun, but it's nice to use it again. I think it was my first Destiny 1 Legendary, so it's cool to have it back. And I think that system, and combined with the Adept loot for GMs, is good, and I hope they add to it in the future. We will have to see how the whole Adept farm works out, and I think Adept things in general still need a little bit of work, but I have been enjoying the Nightfall grind. Like, I'm running Nightfalls just to run them, just to try and get the Catalyst and to try and get Shadow Price, and trying to get the strike-specific drops, which fundamentally I think one of the most important additions this season has been all of these playlists drops. And this is a little controversial because, like, they have such low drop rates, and then they have these huge perk pools. I think it's 12 perks in each slot, and it is a lot. But it has created a situation where people genuinely want to grind the playlist, and they feel like there is a chance that something can drop now that they would actually be interested in. I just got a subsistence pulse rifle from the Vanguard Strikes, which is good. I have a really good rocket launcher from there that I love, that is Clown Cartridge, and it is inborn tracking, so it's 2 rockets in every pod. I've been using that a lot. I masterworked it, and but you're still, you can go for, like, the rocket launcher has the best rocket launcher roll in the game, I think. It can get the velocity perk, and it can get lasting impression, and it has inborn tracking, so it's better than Code Duello. It does the same damage, so that is like the ultimate god roll of that rocket launcher that you can be kind of pursuing forever. And then that's only one playlist. The Crucible playlist, Frozen Orbit, is supposed to be a very good sniper rifle. I've heard really good things about the sidearm from people who like the sidearm. I have not gotten any of those to drop yet. I haven't played a ton of Crucible outside of Trials, and you cannot get those in Trials, as we've discussed in the past, which is annoying. But that's something, I'm probably just going to grind the Crucible playlists, at some point when I have time, just to try and get drops of those. And then finally, of course, there is the crazy grind that everyone is doing right now in Gambit. And I think this is a metaphor for kind of the entire experience, where if you can make people grind Gambit for no other reason than to get a single playlist drop, like, you have struck on some sort of good idea. The drop everyone is looking for is bottom dollar, a 120 hand cannon. 120s are in a really, really strong spot right now, and this can roll pretty much every relevant perk in the game. I've gotten a few. I have a few with quick draw, which is good because it's so clunky. I'm not enough of an expert on hand cannons to even know what the god roll is. Killing Wind, something, I don't know. But that's what everyone is going for. So people are farming Gambit, like, it's actually happening, and people are just doing it to do it. Also, I found that the gilded title pursuits are kind of an interesting thing to go after as well. People are kind of completing the Gambit one almost by accident. I think I'm like 20-25 Gambit wins away from doing it, just because I was grinding for the bottom dollar for so long. So that is an interesting pursuit. I hope they expand that to more titles. I'm not Unbroken or Conqueror in the first place, or Flawless, so I'm not going to go for those, but I'll probably do the Dredgen one by the end of the season, just the way things are going. I really have enjoyed kind of the individual weapon grinds, trying to get Salvager Sabo. That's a really good, fundamentally fun weapon, and even if it's not like a super, super special ritual weapon like we've seen in the past with Boost and Revoker and stuff, it's very fun. You can create some really cool builds with it just because of the unique perks it has, like Chain Reaction, and then you have to grind out the 3 ornaments, so I was doing that for a very long time. I got the Skyburner's Catalyst, Skyburner's newly relevant in Battlegrounds because of all the Cabal. Got 1,000 Cabal kills or whatever I needed for that. I did the Telesto Catalyst, which drops from Lost Sectors. I farmed the Lost Sectors for all 3 of the new chess pieces. There's only one I would consider that's actually really good, is the Titan Thundering Curious of the Falling Star, which does just massive Thunder Strike damage. I don't really like the other 2, but again, it's 3 new things in Lost Sectors to farm for. And there's just, like, as you can see, there is just a ton to go for. And I am motivated to get these weapons, to get the rolls I want, to finish Catalyst, to unlock things, to even get a Gilded Dredgen title. I think they have done a good job at combining different types of grinds and also making that loot valuable enough to get it. And I didn't even touch on trials because I did that yesterday, but they've introduced 3 new trials weapons that have unique perks on them. And so, like, I think we saw a pretty big surge in trials participation even just to get Messenger, and everyone's trying to get, Desperado Messenger. And so even trials is benefiting from this. And this is just something, this I feel is what's been missing in the past, because we just have not had all of that much loot that is that exciting. And you can think, Season of the Hunt, there weren't really too many standout weapons just in that small pool, like the Wave Launcher maybe Friction Fire. Beyond Light, I don't think any of the destination weapons are terribly amazing. I can't even think of any that are, like, the Rocket Launcher I think may have been good for this meta before they introduced all the new rocket perks. Sidearm is good, but they introduced a bunch of new good sidearms now. The really valuable loot was in the Raid. That was like the one exception where Bungie kind of finally went wild on the perks and did some really interesting new things. But before that, Season of Arrivals, that loot was kind of whatever. And I remember everyone was complaining about Season of the Worthy loot until they figured out Warmind cells, because that loot did not have very many good perks. The perks was being able to generate Warmind cells, so it took a while for those to be appreciated. But that was more based on, like, kind of a new mechanic rather than the guns themselves. And then you can go all the way back to Season of Dawn and Shadowkeep. I don't think Shadowkeep had very many good weapons at all. I just don't think there were that many. There's a few, and we're seeing that from maybe some of the reprised ones, but overall I think that was lacking. Season of the Dawn had some of my favorite weapons, but at the time, they did, even those weapons didn't really feel as good, and the pursuit didn't feel as good as what we're feeling now. Season of Dawn, it was like Loot Explosion City, where you could get, like, pretty soon into the season, you could get like 4 double drops. Or no, you could get, four drops of weapons with like 2 perks on them each in the final slot, and like it was so easy to farm kind of whatever you wanted. And then by the end, when you had Fractaline events and you were turning Fractaline for like a drop every couple hundred Fractaline, you were just buried in Season of Dawn loot. And so it was pretty good loot. It just, the chase was like, it was the opposite direction. It was like so easy that it wasn't really even a chase. You could just kind of sleepwalk through it. But now we have a ton of different chases. We have the seasonal chase for the Battleground stuff. We have really, really long-term chases for the playlist-specific weapons. We have, and then we have like skill-based kind of pursuits, like trials and GMs and stuff like that. And like, yeah, you can get versions of those weapons like sucking and doing lower-level stuff, but you will get more drops. You will get depth versions of things if you actually, go flawless, if you beat GMs, things like that. So this is all leading to the fundamental problem with this. Okay, you have all this good loot, you have all these good pursuits, you have short-term pursuits, you have long-term pursuits. You know where this is going, don't you? Sunsetting. Problem is when you introduce kind of really intensive, longer-term grinds, sunsetting feels even worse. And if you are going to spend a ridiculous amount of time to get your God Roll bottom dollar, which I think even getting a bottom dollar with the 2 perks you want, with the current drop rates, it's something like a 0.007% chance or something. Like, it is a long time that you will have to grind for something like that. And if you're not playing, 12 hours a day like me and the streamers, that could take you months to get. And by the time you get one, oh no, it's sunset in a season and a half. Like, whoops. So I think we are going to run into even more sunsetting problems in the future. The current weapons that are dropping have a pretty high light cap on them, and we don't really know what's going to happen with light and the new expansion and things like that. Again, I think that Bungie is going to start scaling back sunsetting a little bit and be a little less rigid about it than they are now. I still kind of hope that they just go back to target sunsetting specific things. Like if suddenly, okay, it's time to sunset Warmind Cell mods. Like no more Warmind Cell mods. You know, we're doing it the new mechanic and we don't want that anymore. Fine. If they are going to sunset Fellwinners, like okay, that's essentially a pinnacle weapon. It is totally dominating PvP. Instead of, you know, working forever to nerf it into submission, like it's going to be sunset and, you know, moving on. But like, do we need to sunset 25 other weapons alongside Fellwinters? I don't think so. That has always been my position on sunsetting, and while I think they can still target sunset things, I hope that they stop doing these just like blanket clears, because I don't think the problems they're talking about, like the power creep stuff, is really happening. Like we're getting new good weapons that are very powerful and maybe even a little power creepy, but it's been fun. It's really fun. And I don't think we need, like, I didn't need to lose all my Season of Dawn weapons to enjoy the current slate of weapons I'm using. Like, it forced me to use, you know, a Night Watch now instead of my Patron of Lost Causes, like, for my Scout slot. Like, it's just very dumb stuff that didn't really need to happen. So I still fundamentally disagree with that. And the problem is now that these grinds are a little more intense and can take a longer period of time, it's going to feel really bad when people just lose their stuff now. Like it's not just like, okay, you did the seasonal activity a bunch in like a month and a half, 10 months later, you're going to lose all that stuff. Like some of these grinds now are going to be very long term, and people are not going to want to part with that stuff given how hard they worked. That was already the case for sunsetting for a lot of people, like people who ran, I forget who it was, who ran like 400 forges to get the sniper he wanted. Like, but it's something similar to that. And if they keep going with the way sunsetting's going, this good stuff right now is going to feel bad later, and people will be less motivated to do it. I think they could even increase current motivation now if they scale back sunsetting as it is now. But generally speaking, I wanted to be pretty positive about how I'm feeling about the season. I'm really enjoying it. I have a million different things to do. Again, I know we're in the first week, and 2 months from now, yeah, I'm probably going to run out of stuff to do for the most part, because that's just how it works. But this does feel better to me than the beginnings of past other seasons. I feel a notable difference, both for me personally and generally speaking from the community, whether it's normal players or streamers. Like everyone does seem to be feeling better in a lot of instances, even though a certain amount of problems are still there and not fixed. There's a lot still to come, but I think this is a good path right now, and they've really kind of hit a home run with both loot and the loot pursuits right now. And we'll hope sunsetting doesn't just murder it all later, but we'll see. But yeah, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time.